How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob. And today is February 24th, 2022, and of course, we're going to focus on this major snowstorm that's going to bring over a foot of snow into some areas of the Northeast, as well as potentially up to a half of an inch of ice or more, which could cause treacherous road and travel conditions. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin. I'll take a look at the current radar for the lower 48 of the United States, and as you can see, we do have some snow showers just to the north of this rain shower activity that's located right around the Ohio River Valley at this time. As like I forecasted for the past couple of days, we just saw enough unstable air in this area for a larger area of precipitation to develop, and that's only going to grow larger as this heads further eastward, as this low pressure begins to encounter more instability and a higher amount of buoyancy with the water vapor for a larger area of snow to develop. So while the snow doesn't necessarily look heavy right now throughout the Great Lakes region, that's quickly about to change, as we're going to see the rain shower activity and the snow shower activity expand, and we're going to see the snowfall rates also increase as we see the expansion of the area of precipitation. So that's something to be aware of. And if we were to take a closer look at the radar, you see that we're seeing a pretty large area of freezing rain and wintry mix, pretty much extending from the central portion of Ohio as far south as Little Rock, Arkansas, where you guys received a multitude of heavy ice reports that have caused slick road conditions right around the southern Midwest. So make sure for tonight, especially tonight, because the temperatures will fall below freezing again. So we're going to see any sort of water freeze by tonight. So make sure to pay close attention to that throughout the southern Midwest. That just because the freezing rain ended does not mean the threat of ice has necessarily ended, because of course tonight we're going to see those temperatures fall below freezing, and we could see black ice form on the roads, which is difficult to see, and you want to make sure you drive slowly during situations like that. And this ice for the areas from the northward should continue for several hours, creating a pretty heavy freezing rain threat where you could receive up to a quarter of an inch of ice in some areas, which will create some very bad travel conditions for tonight. So make sure to stay indoors for the most part right around this freezing rain area. Now, in terms of the warnings issued, we of course have winter weather advisories issued over a large area of the United States. This extends as far south as Arkansas. This extends through Missouri. St. Louis is involved. Chicago is involved. The eastern portion of Iowa is involved, and we see this extend further eastward, where there's a large area affecting millions of Americans, which is a winter weather advisory. And you see that in Arkansas, there's actually a winter storm warning issued, as it seemed like the ice and the snow was a little bit more than anticipated. So that's definitely a major work. So make sure to be aware in Arkansas where the ice was really bad for you guys, because that could create some dangerous road conditions for tonight. And we do now have winter storm warnings issued pretty much anywhere north of the Interstate 84 corridor, which extends from Boston all the way to Scranton, Pennsylvania. If you're north of that, you're most likely under a winter storm warning, as it's pretty evident at this point we're going to see heavy snowfall accumulation from this storm. And just south of that, winter weather advisories, as it does seem like you're necessarily going to experience a heavy amount of snowfall from this, but the main threat and the main concern for these areas in purples will be the ice threat, since we're going to see just enough of a warm air intrusion in the mid-levels of the atmosphere for a major freezing rain threat to occur, that we even see ice storm warnings issued for portions of Pennsylvania. So you want to keep that in mind, that even though you might not necessarily experience snow from this, freezing rain could be the issue. Now, let's take a look at the computer model. So at this point, of course, we're less than 12 hours out from the event, so there's not much I could change with the computer models. It's pretty certain at this point. And compared to yesterday's run, both the European model and the GFS model have taken a shift further northward, which means that there's less likely of a chance you're going to experience a heavier amount of snow in New York City. I'd say anywhere above 3 inches is highly unlikely at this point for New York City, as I'd say the most you'll receive is right around 3 inches, but the current forecast for New York City is around 1 inch or less, as there is certainly a possibility you receive no snowfall accumulation. While I do think there's at least going to be snowfall in New York City, I don't think it's going to accumulate very much, and same goes for areas such as northern New Jersey, anywhere that's fairly relatively close to the Interstate 80 corridor. Anywhere, if you're around the Interstate 80 corridor, which extends from New York City throughout the northern portion of Pennsylvania, there's less likely of a shot you're going to receive much accumulating snowfall unless you're well to the north of it. So I'd say the snow will be less of an issue for northern New Jersey and New York City, as a bigger issue could be the ice threat, because you see that northern New Jersey and New York City are experiencing ice from this storm. But you see that anywhere north of the, I'd say, New York City, Pennsylvania border, it's an all snow event where Boston is receiving snowfall that's heavy at times, and this extends to upstate New York. A lot of Massachusetts, Hartford, Connecticut gets involved with a heavy amount of snowfall. New Hampshire and Vermont, as well, as this storm becomes quite formidable and really does develop quite gradually to a point where we do see snowfall rates heavy at times, and it doesn't help that there's a strong southerly flow and a strong northerly flow induced by this ridge that's creating sort of an area where rapid convection is occurring, which means that the heavy snowfall will be just north of the rain snow line, the heaviest precipitation. So Boston is right around that area, so is Hartford. So you guys should experience heavy snow at times, because as the cool air and the warm air pretty much fight to interact with each other, that creates a rapid amount of convection within an area for heavy snowfall to occur, typically just north of the rain snow line, and that's expected to happen for tonight. That should enhance the snow totals for a lot of New England. Now, taking a look at the snowfall forecast for New England and the Northeast, you see that a large area is expected to receive over 6 inches of snow. Boston is receiving close to a foot of snow, so this is expected to be significant based on the European model. Albany, New York is experiencing over 6 inches of snow, and Hartford, Connecticut is experiencing close to 10 inches of snow, so quite significant. And like I said, if you're just south of the Interstate 84 corridor, you're not going to experience much snowfall. As you see in New York City, you're only expected to receive around 1 inch of snow from this storm based on what the European model is saying, as we did see a slight shift in the forecast further northward, as it seems like the most likely scenario is that the New York City will experience very little snowfall accumulation, and it should change over the terrain either way. So even if we do get maybe an inch of snow or two in New York City, it should most likely wash away by the Friday time frame by the amount of rain that's expected. So it seems like the warm air will win out in New York City and cause less of a significant snow event, but you see that's a completely different story just north of the New York, New Jersey border, where we do see a large area of 6 to 12 inches throughout New England and upstate New York. And you see that both the computer models are now almost completely resemble each other, so that shows that there's high confidence with this forecast at this point. So there isn't much uncertainty anymore, so you should expect what the computer models are saying. So if you're under heavy snowfall, you need to prepare for heavy snowfall, because no drastic changes will occur at this point, only 12 hours out from the event. And if you were to take a look further westward, you see 3 to 6 inches throughout Cleveland, as it seems like the snow will end soon for you guys as the low pressure system continues to move eastward. So make sure to keep that in mind, that there's going to be some snow showers throughout the Great Lakes for tonight as well. But snow won't be the only issue. Of course, we're going to see ice accumulation. That's another issue we're going to worry about. And let's take a look at the Futurecast radar to see where exactly the heaviest snow and the heaviest ice, freezing rain will be. So if we were to continue to move forward, you see that we begin to see the precipitation definitely expand as this moves further eastward. There's going to be another round of cold air locked in place in the northeast, and as this southwesterly flow interacts with that cold air in place, that's where we're going to see rapid convection convection and sort of high buoyancy with the air molecules and water vapor right around this area for the area of precipitation to definitely expand as this moves further eastward, where we do see the heavy snow quickly develop, and we do see the ice develop as well throughout Pennsylvania, where this is where the heaviest ice should be, right around this area, where the highest convergence of cold air and warm air will be. And you see that in New York City, you will experience some accumulating snowfall before this eventually does change over into more of a freezing rain threat to a completely rain threat. And we should begin to see some precipitation in New York City, I'd say right around midnight tonight. And then Philadelphia should get involved in some precipitation by around 11 p.m., just an hour before. And northern Pennsylvania should get involved with some snowfall again right around midnight as well. And in terms of Hartford, you should expect the snow right around 3 a.m. Boston, around 5 a.m., you should experience a heavy snowfall, so Friday morning, as your Friday morning commute throughout New England should definitely be quite chaotic. I recommend to stay indoors just north of the New Jersey and New York's border, because it seems like there's going to be a major snowstorm and you will experience a heavy amount of snowfall at times. So make sure to keep that in mind. And this should continue all throughout the morning hours on Friday. Extending to 10 a.m., you see the snow still continues throughout Boston, and I'd say this should end for Boston. I'd say right around, this should definitely begin to wind down past lunchtime on Friday, and then I'd say the snow should be completely gone probably by Friday afternoon to Friday night, where snow showers should be mainly relegated to being very light at that point. So you definitely need to pay close attention to that throughout New England. Now, taking a look at the ice accumulation throughout the entire Northeast, and you see that Pennsylvania and New Jersey, northwestern New Jersey, could experience up to a quarter of an inch of ice, and over a tenth of an inch of ice is definitely capable enough to cause havoc on the roadways. So you want to make sure to drive with precaution for tomorrow throughout New Jersey as well as Pennsylvania. And we do see some areas where you could receive over a quarter of an inch of ice to up to a half an inch of ice in Pennsylvania, where the heaviest freezing rain threat should occur. So make sure to pay close attention to that. And you see that New York City and Philadelphia are involved with this. Pretty much anywhere northwest of the Interstate 95 corridor, that's where the heaviest ice threat should be, because of course the reason why we typically see the rain snow line sort of hug the Interstate 95 corridor is because west of the Interstate 95 corridor, it's typically a lot more elevated, and those few degrees in temperature could make a huge difference in terms of what sort of wintry precipitation to occur. And while there isn't a ton of mountains just to the west of the Interstate 95 corridor, there's just enough to where that could make the 1 to 2 degree difference that makes the difference between experiencing a freezing rain threat to an all rain event. And it seems like this is going to be sort of the case with this storm, where most of the ice is relegated to just to the northwest of the Interstate 95 corridor. And you see this extends for westward as well. So make sure to be aware of a heavy ice threat throughout Pennsylvania and northwestern New Jersey, and even western Maryland should get involved, and eastern West Virginia. So here's my snowfall forecast and my ice forecast for this storm. So at this point, it seems like anywhere south of the New Jersey, New York City border should receive less than 6 inches of snow. I'd say more likely around 3 to 6 to 1 to 3 for the most part, right around New York City metropolitan area, as it seems like the rain snow line will be a little bit too far north for you guys to receive much more than an inch of snow in New York City. And then you see that I'm expecting a large area of 6 to 12 inches, saying pretty much swallowing up upstate New York and Massachusetts entirely, where you guys are expected to receive over 6 inches of snow. Expect over a foot of snow in some portions of New England, 3 to 6 just north of in the northern portion of Maine, and 1 to 3 just to the west of that. So make sure to prepare for a major snowstorm throughout the Northeast, because it's going to be one of the biggest you've seen this winter throughout New England. And you see that a major ice threat should occur just south of this snow, more specifically right around central Pennsylvania. This could extend New Jersey as well. So make sure to keep that in mind, that we're going to see an ice threat as well associated with this storm. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. I might go reporting out on the field here in northern New Jersey to see how much snow we actually receive and how much ice accumulation we receive. Currently, the forecast is right around 3 to 6 inches of snow for my area, but it could easily be 1 to 3 inches depending on where that rain snow line will be. But I'll make sure to update you guys regarding the snowstorm here in northern New Jersey. But I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys all stay safe.